What's up? What's up?
What's up, YouTube family?
All right, we have been away. We missed you guys. We are glad to be back. And we have Demi Lovato drops the day and re-enters on She. So, guess what, guys? You will not be canceled if you call her a she. You're welcome. I know, right? It's amazing. We won't get canceled if we use she. I'm going to talk about Demi Lovato. So, she changed the pronouns.
Mm-hmm.
So, she was like a they and them.
Okay.
Pronoun at one
they
point.
And them?
Yes, a they or a them at one point.
They
Or something like
them.
they or them at one point. And you cannot refer to her as a she because she was a they or them.
So I have to say they or them?
Yeah.
Man, that's kind of rough, right? It's like talking to two people. Or a couple of people. They, you have, I guess, they on this side and them on the other side, right?
It's like a group.
They, them.
Right.
So I say they, hey, they, them.
So it doesn't make sense when you say it either.
Man, let's get into
But
the Matt Walsh.
we're going to get into it.
That's too much
and
to me right there.
see just why she added she or changed it. Anyway, we're going to get into it.
The news hit like an avalanche yesterday. Explosive, shocking, the most significant event of the year, of the decade, of the century. The headlines were published on CNN, NBC News, ABC News, Fox, all over the media. It was trending on every social media platform. People all across this land were shouting about it from the rooftops. Town criers were announcing it in village squares. The earth-shattering news reverberated around the country and down through history and across space and time. Demi Lovato is changing her pronouns.
Say it ain't so.
As People magazine reports, Demi Lovato is opening up about her recent pronoun change about 2 months after updating her pronouns on Instagram, adding she, her alongside the pronouns she'd been using since last year, which are they, them. Lovato recently spoke to host Tamara Dia on the Spout podcast about what led to the decision. In response to Dia asking Lovato to explain the concept of chosen pronouns like they, them, the 29-year-old singer-songwriter said, yeah, so they, them is, I've actually adopted the pronouns of she, her again. Now, if that sentence seemed to not make any sense, get ready for a bunch more sentences that also make no sense. Here is Lovato explaining her decision in more detail. She, of course, updates her pronouns like Apple updates the iPhone. And I mean both in terms of the frequency of the updates and the meaninglessness and redundancy of the updates. But here she explains why, I think.
I've actually adopted the pronouns of she, her again. So for me, I'm such a fluid person that I don't find that I felt like, especially last year, my energy was balanced and my masculine and feminine energy. So that when I was faced with the choice of walking into a bathroom and it said women and men, I didn't feel like there was a bathroom for me because I didn't feel necessarily like a woman. I didn't feel like a man. I just felt like a human. And that's what they, them is about for me. It's just about like feeling human at your core. Recently, I've been feeling more feminine.
Well, there you have it. Yesterday, yesterday you would have been banned on every social media platform for calling Demi she, and now you'll be banned if you don't. That's how this works. And she's simply getting in touch with her energy. Sometimes her energy is balanced. Sometimes her energy tips towards the feminine. Sometimes it's masculine. Sometimes her energy is low and she needs to plug into an outlet in the garage for a while. Now, obviously, none of this makes any sense at all. This is about as credible as the four humors theory of medicine, popular back in, like, the Middle Ages. And back then, they believed that a person's physical health, their mental well-being, their personality were all determined by the balance of blood, bile, melancholy, and phlegm. And those are the four humors. And that theory fell out of favor once the human body and the brain were better understood and the existence of germs, was discovered.
Right.
Though they may have actually been onto something on second thought, as there are lots of people in our society today who seem to be predominantly composed of bile and phlegm. And yet humorism was far more defensible and credible at the time because it was the best available theory to explain these aspects of the human person based on the information they had at the time. Mm-hmm. This gender identity nonsense, by contrast, is a superstition invented and propagated contrary to all of the ample amounts of evidence that we have on hand. We know that it's nonsense, and yet it has taken over our culture all the same. Now, I call it nonsense, and it is, but that doesn't mean that I can't make sense of it. I do, in fact, understand what Demi's trying to say.
Oh, tell us.
I think I understand what she's trying to say better than she does. Because this is all simply narcissism. Lovato has a cornucopia of mental illnesses and various addictions, and that certainly plays a role, but mostly this is the end result of spending nearly every waking moment of your life thinking about yourself, obsessing over yourself, analyzing yourself, and then analyzing your analysis of yourself. A person who adopts this, I guess, lifestyle choice of narcissism will quickly conclude that though she can't make up her mind about anything, and though she, by her own admission, doesn't understand herself in the slightest, she is certainly, she knows, more interesting, more nuanced, more complex, more richly and beautifully sketched than most other people in the world. This is the fundamental narcissistic assumption that serves as the basis for everything else when it comes to gender identity. The narcissist feels a certain way, right? As we all feel different ways, but they can't actually know whether other people who share the same sex feel the same way, whether this is just how people feel. But she assumes that they don't feel as she does because she is her. She's not like anyone else. Her feelings are different and meaningful and profound in ways that nobody else's are. And so she can't make do with these sex categories that have proved sufficient for billions of humans before her. She needs a whole new category because she is that transcendent, she tells herself, in her deluded, ego-crazed mind. And this would all perhaps be something about which we could simply shake our heads and laugh and then move on if it was a madness consigned to drug-addled Hollywood weirdos. But it's not. Worst of all, of course, children are being recruited into sharing in the same confusion and self-obsessed misery as Demi Lovato. And here is where the Lovato story does in fact have some resonance and relevance. This is why it's actually not something that we can simply dismiss. There's something important that can be learned from it, and that important thing is this. Demi Lovato is a grown woman, technically. She is an adult, at least in the chronological sense of the term.
Right.
And yet she changes her gender identity, quote unquote, every 45 seconds. She can't make up her mind. What she said yesterday may not have any bearing on today. 1 minute, her deepest truth is that she's a non-binary pansexual shapeshifter, and the next minute, her truth is something else entirely. Now consider that kids are being drugged and mutilated, their bodies permanently altered based on their own
that's not right.
gender identity declarations, which are somehow even more fickle and transmutable and fundamentally meaningless. Everything is fluid. Everything can be changed, except the bodies that are butchered and poisoned based on whatever form of identity or expression a child has assumed at that moment. There was a video recently that went viral which shows someone named Kellen Lackhard, a so-called gender specialist, whatever that is, at Kaiser Permanente in Oakland, admitting that in that program, Kaiser Permanente, children as young as 12 years old have had their breasts removed. 12 years old. Listen.
Yeah, I think folks have kind of covered the blockers and hormones, but I'll talk about surgical care a little bit. In terms of masculinizing top surgery, I think 12 is the youngest who's had surgery through our program. And in terms of general reconstructive surgeries, we haven't had anyone under the age of 18 have phalloplasty or linguadoplasty, but we have had a few patients starting 15. I don't think surgery actually happened until 16 that have had vaginoplasty.
You probably know Vistaprint for business cards, but did you know we also print that and that?
That's crazy.
And that.
Again, girls at the age of 12.
Yes.
Not even in high school.
That's crazy, man.
And they're having body parts removed. We also hear that boys as young as 16, at an age when boys in particular are renowned for being impetuous and impulsive and unintentionally self-destructive, and yet at age 16 they're being castrated.
Right.
Wow.
That's insane.
Demi Lovato is almost 30 years old, and she can't decide what her gender energy is telling her at any given moment. How in God's name can we take an adolescent,
12-year-old,
still over a decade away from their brain being fully formed, how can we take them seriously when they make their own declarations? A few days ago, the radical LGBT group Stonewall tweeted that according to quote-unquote research, and they never do specify what the research is, of course, but just research shows, they say, that children as young as 2 can recognize their trans identity. 2. Adults in their 20s and 30s struggle to understand their identities, apparently. But actual babies, still in diapers, sleeping in cribs, can come to realizations that escape those approaching middle age or older. That's the point we should take away here. And it's why we actually shouldn't simply ignore the adult celebrities and other adults who parade around, with their different identity every other month.
Ooh, Jesus.
Far from ignoring it, we should be pointing to them. We should be putting them up on banners, saying, here, look at this, with the message, leave our kids out of this.
Yeah.
If you want to join my exclusive fan base, or a cult, that's what it is, we're forming a cult, then all you gotta do is click the subscribe button and ring the bell below this video to stay up to date with all my content. And if you want even more, you can watch or listen to my show at thedailywire.com, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. Looking forward to welcoming you to the Sweet Baby Gang.
What is the declaration of it?
Wow.
Sweet baby Jesus.
The news.
Man, wow.
Sweet baby Jesus.
Wow. At the end of the day, you're grown, you can do what you want to do.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the kids, man, when do you draw a line in the sand? Come on, it's like there's no line drawn. Everybody the line is just disappeared. Do what you want to do. When you say that a baby can make a decision at 2 years old, that's foolishness, man.
They said their gender identity.
Man, that's
okay.
crazy.
We got a 3-year-old grandbaby.
It sounds like a parent that want to change their daughter into a little boy.
A little boy.
That's all it sounds like.
Hmm.
So and at the end of the day, man, there's you have to draw a line.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
I mean,
let the kids become 20-something years old and make that decision.
She almost 30 and she changed her.
That gives you that's the point. Right
She's
now,
still confused.
If an adult is having a problem
she
understanding,
a whole adult.
That's the thing. If the adult is having a problem understanding on whether they're a human, let's keep it like that. Let's say it like that. She don't understand whether she's a human or not.
Because she don't know how to go to the bathroom. That's like diapers. I mean, you don't have a bathroom issue as far as which door to go in.
She said,
you're basing your change.
I feel like I want to feel like I want to feel like a human. Did she say that? And I'm like, lady, you are human.
But you're
not a reptile. You're not an insect.
Her basis for changing it is because she don't know what bathroom to go in too. Wear diapers. They have Depends.
Say what diapers?
They have Depends. All right. So they them is okay. So I wrote down some things. They them is not a person, but a human
of some kind.
Not a human.
A human of some kind.
Okay. I think it's selfish because it is expected that people, regular people, have to play into this when it's not fair. The use of pronouns, from when I was in school, anyway, I was taught that pronouns, those particular pronouns means more than one person. So now you're getting into the grammar and language, teaching children that, okay, this word means, they and them means, a third person, but then you're telling me a person. That to me is confusing. And do you know you are a human?
I put down using pronouns to escape the reality of humanity. As simple as that, man. At the end of the day, I don't know what people, how they identify themselves. It's to a point now, are you an insect, a bear, a lion, tiger? What are you? You know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, I feel like this. You can do whatever. You can be whatever you want to be. Just don't
be bringing the kids into it.
That's all I say, man.
Don't bring the kids into it.
Listen, do your thing.
I mean, okay, just take.
If you want to chop off the Wayne, do your thing. It's your business. But when it Wayne, I'm gonna keep it like that. You want to talk? You want to chop off the Wayne, do your thing. That's your business, man. But when it comes to these babies, you know, these teenagers,
let these babies past
draw
2 years old.
Draw the line. That's a line you're not going to cross. But when you 18, 19, 20 years old, you can do what you want to do, man.
Again, she's almost 30 and she can't figure it out.
Yeah.
All right. Don't forget, like, subscribe. Just this sad. It's just getting out of control.
It's been out of control, baby.
Sorry. Yes, you're right. It's been out of control.
Other than that, YouTube,
All right, YouTube.
family, we're going to give you guys a pay.